Hello, everyone who watches this. You're joining us for a Know Your Rights and Responsibilities training, and we'll introduce ourselves to start. My name's Laura Mistretta, and I am the resident organizer with the CV OEO Mobile Home Program.
My name is Sandrine Kiwe. I'm the director of the Housing Advocacy Programs. The programs are statewide. It's one of the 3 programs that CVOEO runs around the state of Vermont, and mobile home program is actually one of them. I think so. Wendy?
And my name is Wendy Rowe. I'm one of the Housing Rights and Responsibilities educators in the Vermont Tenants Program and also the Mobile Home Program.
Great. Glad we could all be here tonight. Sandrine, can you tell us a little bit more about the project that training is part of?
Sure. The Mobile Home Program has launched this pilot project funded by the High Meadows Foundation in September. And it is a project that will help foster local leadership in mobile home parks for residents to not only make their community healthier, safer, and more connected, but also make sure that they have a local voice in the political systems in their communities. And one of the other things that this project would do is to have a more coordinated approach on emergency management at the family level, meaning that we're going to see how climate and environment actually impact families and how they be able to somewhat prepare for crises like the COVID-19 that we are suffering right now. So it's a pilot project, like I said, and it will be running in Heinsberg and St. George, and Mountain View is one of the parks that we will be working with, and hopefully you resident, watching this video would be able to be part of this great civic engagement within your community. I hope that you will find this video helpful, as it touch definitely based on your rights and responsibilities. Let's have fun.
We always do. Yeah, and this is the first workshop in a series that we'll be providing and offering throughout the fall and winter. And we figured, the best place to start is with the rights that govern your community. So I'm going to open up the presentation, and can we all see that? All right. So, okay, here we go. I want to be able to see everybody. All right.
Laura, you need to put it in presentation mode.
All right. Slideshow. Okay, here we are.
Wonderful.
Great. So again, we're the Champlain Valley Office of Economic Opportunities Mobile Home Program as part of the Housing Advocacy Programs, statewide housing advocacy programs. We are not lawyers, so we cannot give legal advice, but we can definitely provide educational information about your rights and responsibilities as residents and homeowners in a mobile home park here in Vermont. And this presentation draws from a variety of sources of information, primarily Vermont state law. There is a whole set of laws that have been passed over the years to define the relationship between homeowners and park owners. A lot of these laws are actually the result of residents organizing to demand better conditions and better rights from, from the state. And so, and our program, owes a big debt to the work of residents over the years to really stand up and speak up for what is needed in your communities. And that is a big reason why we're launching this pilot project, is to foster that sort of engagement once again. The law is then also kind of interpreted by the Department of Housing and Community Development, and they have a set of housing division rules, which basically shows, how they apply the law to real life situations. And the Department of Housing and Community Development is one of the main agencies that enforce the laws that we'll discuss more throughout this presentation. And then finally, this presentation is based on your lease, your specific lease for Mountain View. We reviewed it and incorporated information from that lease so that this presentation can be as relevant and specific to your situation as possible. So Sandrine, can you tell us a little bit more about leases?
Sure. As any renters, mobile home park residents has to get into a contract situation with their mobile home park owners. And the law requires that the owner gives you a copy before you move in. They're supposed to be able to give you a copy so you can review it, agree to the terms. And once signed, they need to be giving you a copy when you move in, and anytime you ask for it. That's required by law. There is no mobile home park owners that can tell you, oh, you had a copy. I don't know where it is. You don't have a right to it. Give me $10 so I can make a copy for you. This is not something that is lawful. So when you need a copy, request it, and the owner is supposed to give it to you. One of the things that the lease does, it gives you terms in which you need to conduct yourself within that contract. It is required for the landlord when he or she or they want to make a change, 30 days notice, and 60 days when they want to change the amount of the rent or to change your utility charges. And for a lease to be viable, for a lease to be legal, it must, and I do repeat, must be uniformly applied. That means that everybody is supposed to be regented within these terms within your lease. And of course, there is always some accommodations. Usually, accommodations are listed in the lease, but there are exceptions that might be applied there. When you feel that that the lease and the laws somewhat conflict, meaning that the lease says something and the law says something else, then the laws always prevail. The law always prevails in these situations. One of the things that must be on your lease, okay, because there is definitely certain information that is required by law that must be on the lease, which is certainly in yours at Mountain View, are the name and address of the park owner. Of course, you need to be able to connect with them, to communicate when there is an issue in the park with the park owner. Of course, a non-discrimination law clause this lease supposed to be applying free of any discrimination to every single resident in the park. And any service charges, that's something that I do believe Laura will talk about later. And of course, when the park goes, for sale, you need to be in advance notified by the park owner. Termination of leases needs a 30-day notice. And of course, you need to know when that contract is in effect, goes into effect. So the date of the lease needs to be on the lease, on the contract itself.
Sandra,
Is there anything else that, Laura, you want to touch on here? But one of the things that the law says when it comes to changes to the lease, there is some applicability here. Of course, besides the equally requirement to apply that lease and those changes, there is definitely a provision for everything within the lease needs to be fair and reasonable when it comes to those changes. And there is a 30 days requirement before the changes occurs and 60 days for utilities, as I mentioned earlier. And it has to be done in writing. If you do not, residents or lease holder, do not object in writing by the effective date that's supposed to be in the notice of changes, you shall deem to have accepted it. So meaning that you accept all the changes that are listed on the new lease or the amended lease. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we can tell you about this portion is that all the terms needs to be, and this is something that I will repeat again, it needs to be applied to all residents to be legal. And the law is very clear when it comes to what actually prevails. And the lease does, but in conflict, of course, please refer yourself to the law. Mm-hmm. Did I forget anything, Laura? I do think that I did mention the most basic and important points when it comes to leases at this point here for mobile home park residents.
Yeah, I think I'd just like to jump in and speak a little bit more to this piece about how the lease must be uniformly applied. This is a topic, I think we hear a lot from residents around the state, feeling, that they may be being targeted for certain rule violations that their neighbors are not. And so just to speak more on what this really looks like how does that work? And really, the way this works is that should a park owner write a resident up for a lease violation, say it's something like, I don't know, you're parking your car on your lawn instead of in your driveway. And the lease says you're not supposed to do that. And you're getting notices from the park owner saying, hey, you're breaking the rules, your car's on your lawn, it's supposed to be in your driveway. And you notice that, there's at least 2 or 3 other people in the park who also park on their lawns. And as far as you know, they're not getting notices about it. So when the law says that the lease must be uniformly applied, what that really looks like is that a park owner cannot evict you for a rule violation that they are not enforcing on other people. So in that scenario, if the park owner then tried to evict this person because they're parking on their lawn, but your neighbors who are also parking on the lawn are not being evicted, you would want to just take a simple photo of the fact that other people are parking on their lawns and are not being evicted, and that would be like your proof that the lease is not being uniformly applied, and therefore, you know, a judge could use that to decide that it's not a fair reason for you to be evicted. And so I just wanted to state that because sometimes, you know, sometimes these issues, like, it's written in the law, but until like a judge sort of weighs in, it doesn't necessarily become reality. And I think that can be, you know, a little alarming or confusing. And we support residents in situations like this to make sure they know their rights around, you know, a situation like the one I described.
Yeah, and to make sure that you know, people are aware, understanding the very crucial piece of it all is for you to be able to prove what you say, to document what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, usually there is not only photos, but that you know, you have statements from your neighbor that have seen it happening. You have recordings. With technology right now, it's very easy. I would not say easy. Let me rephrase. There is ways to be able to do so. But because it's usually, when it comes to rules-related violation, especially when it has to go with either discrimination or he said, she says, or, you know, she doesn't like me, the property manager is biased or has his favorites and all, it's very important for the resident to have those documents and these proofs in their possession. Because even if you come to us and tell us about what happened, then you know, there is no way for us to be able to advocate and support you without any proof.
Right.
This is something very important. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.
Sure. But yeah, so I think we can.
Yep.
I think we can probably move on, or unless, Wendy, do you have any questions about leases?
You know, I did just have one question for either one of you about what would happen, you know, if the owner made a change to the lease, you know, was making one of these changes that you're talking about that you don't agree with. You know, do you have the right to say no? Or what would you do in that situation?
Not just, okay. So anybody can say no to anything, right? The thing is that when it comes to having changes made within a lease, within a contract, right? An amendment made that you definitely do not want to see it happen. There is ways that you know, there is a way that it's very difficult. It's if you have enough resident within the park that agrees with you. There is ways to discuss that because, you know, numbers is always very good. I mean, when you have to make your point, and it's something that will impact actually the business of the park and all. It is always good to have more than one person saying that I don't like this. This will actually kick off some type of a mediation, of course, to see, especially if the landlord know what is best, depending on the number of people that says, you know, hell no, I'm not going to do that. Then, like I said, you know, it's a process that can be made, and there is no guarantee though, because you know, a contract is a contract. The landowner is the landowner. It is his property. The lease has been, the changes has been made aware to the residents in a legal manner. Yes, it can be discussed. Would that be changed? It definitely depends. Do you have any other perspective, Laura? Or I do believe that this is one of the ways that you might influence changes, but it's quite difficult, right?
Yeah, I think I think you said it really well, and you had touched on it a little before that, there is sort of this right to like not sign the new lease and submit your concern or your disagreement in writing instead of signing. It's not really been tested in court here in Vermont, so we're not certain how that would hold up. Like if you disagree with a new rule and then violate it, can you be evicted? We're not sure. That actually hasn't really been tested. But what Sandrine was saying about there's power in numbers, that's sort of the wild card there, is that when a community is really strong in its convictions and persistent and has support, from a group like Mobile Home Program or others, sometimes unusual things can happen or unlikely things can happen. And we would definitely be happy to hear from folks if they have an idea that, even if it doesn't seem likely. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to privacy. This is always a hot topic.
Yes, especially during COVID, because with the health provisions and the fact that people have right to the right to be afraid of anybody coming into their property or invading their space, and the way they do it is very important. As you would hear a lot, this phrase a lot from me, that as a renter, of course, the park owner may enter your lot with your permission. So if he comes anytime and asks you for permission, and you say yes, they can actually enter and your lot. But the law says very clearly that it's only between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and with 12 hours notice that a park owner might enter your lot, and for specific reasons, right? They can come to inspect the lot that they own, to make necessary and agreed repairs, because depending on the emergency and the impact that it might have on the land, or it might have on your neighbors, or might have on yourself. They may enter your lot for that reason. If you agreed on supply services that they actually are required to do for health and safety reasons, they may enter your lot as well. Or if the park is coming up for sale, and they need to exhibit it to purchasers or tenants. If the mobile home it's for rent, workers and contractors. If there's some other repairs that needs to be done on your lot, they might definitely enter your lot. But again, it's between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and they have to give you 12 hours notice in writing. Of course, in an emergency situation, if you have had the experience of renting an apartment, they can enter as well when it comes to a mobile home park lot. It's without notice. In an emergency, meaning that I don't know, septic system is broken, and you have the whole lot submerged by septic water, and they can just come in and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, anytime you give your consent. So I know it's difficult sometimes when you do not want them in. Unfortunately, the law says that there are circumstances where they have the right to do so. Keep that in mind, and make sure that you know exactly, and with have these hours in lock into your mind: 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And don't forget that they must provide you notice before they enter the law. Okay. Anything else, Laura, or maybe a situation that we might be giving our viewer at this time, circumstance where the landlord entered and the lot. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, I think you covered it really well. I think I just add two little details that, the law also says that homeowners, residents should not withhold their consent unreasonably. So if the park owner does provide you notice and does have a clear reason for why they need to enter your lot, it's an expectation that you would allow that to happen as long as it's reasonable. And also, this doesn't mean that park owners can enter your home. That is
That's different.
This is just about the lot. So your home is, that is something that they could really only enter with your consent or an absolute emergency situation. But yeah, when it comes to the lot, it is the property of the park owner. So they do have some rights to accessing it with notice. Yeah.
Right. So warranty of habitability.
Yeah.
This is something that you love, Laura, don't you?
Yeah. So habitability, a fun word, fun topic. So this is going to be a big chunk of this presentation here is talking about it. So, and what this means, the warranty of habitability is defined as, the park owner is legally required to provide water you can drink with adequate pressure, safe electrical services, a functioning sewage disposal system that does not cause a health hazard, so isn't bubbling up or backing up into your home, roads that do not cause a safety hazard and do not prevent emergency vehicles from accessing your community, and a habitable lot and park, which tends to refer to adequate drainage so that you're not flooded, your home isn't flooded, trees that are not a hazard to your home or property, common areas that are safe to access and use. And your lease does reflect a lot of this. It is stated very clearly in the lease, what the park owner is responsible for and what the homeowner is responsible for, which I think brings us to our next slide, which this little handy dandy diagram to more clearly show. It's fairly intuitive, but essentially, the park owner is responsible for maintaining the infrastructure, the park-wide infrastructure, septic, water, electrical, roads. You as homeowners are responsible for maintaining all of the equipment and aspects of your own personal plumbing and electrical and your own interior of your home. So really where the blue and the red meet are where your hookups are underneath your home. And after the hookup, it's all on the park owner. But before the hookup, it is your personal responsibility to maintain. And the lease and the laws do, they do speak to the importance of a homeowner really maintaining your own home's fixtures properly, because the way aspects of your home's maintenance can have an impact on park infrastructure, and that's where things get a little tricky, or vice versa. So it's really a responsibility of both parties to keep up their end of the bargain so that everyone has a safe and habitable place to live.